Well, hello there friends! Welcome back to my channel where I showcase the creation process of my creepy cute lowbrow and gothic fantasy art and ramble the art things. Today's video is a graphite one. Now this piece was originally created for the Bad Apple Artist Collective's monthly auction themed rainy days. So I thought of rain, fog, storm, and the only thing that came to mind was a lot of water and that Innsmouth look. So this ended up being a Lovecraft inspired piece. I've always had a certain appreciation for ink work. I love the strong contrast of positive and negative space, cross-hatching, and incredible line work some people can achieve. For a long time I strictly did ink work, and my first thoughts of being an artist as a legit career, I was entranced by the thought of pursuing comics. That didn't really happen. I had to stop working with ink, so that pretty much got put on the back burner. But I really love the high contrast. If you have seen my concept sketches, you know they're all over the place and so very, very messy. Scritcherings of chicken shit. About a few years ago, I got the idea to start fiddling more with values that ended up coinciding with more detailed underpainting work. I got the bright idea of graphite. I never to that day had really done any legit piece in graphite in elementary school. Elementary grades, kindergarten through 5th. At some point early on in that school career, I learned of the hardness of pencils. It wasn't something they actively taught. I just got curious one day and asked the teacher, what are the numbers for? For a breakdown of H is hard and will be more light, and B is soft and can do darker tones. That was the only introductions to pencils I had, but thankfully it kind of stuck with me. No teacher going forward from that point on had ever brought it up again. It was just something that was never mentioned. It'd normally be like buckets of pencils just sitting out there. You can pick whatever hardness that you wanted. I would have like a ton of sketch sets and like supply sets normally gifted to me every year, but one thing remained. I never really touched them, especially the pencil sets. I did everything with a mechanical pencil when it came to drawing. I really like the convenience, and I still do. I still sketch with mechanical pencils, but when I go to do the finished graphite work, of course I pull out the pencils. I'm currently using Prismacolor and Blick, but I did just pick up some general ones that I should be getting this week from Trakell to try out. Those little paper stubblies that came with the set, I had no idea what they were. They would just go right in the trash. If not for reading, I would never have known they were for smudging things, and that was a concept. Cause I just assumed artists, on the days of Elfwood and early DeviantArt, I just assumed graphite artists just could make smooth transitions. I don't know. I didn't know smudging was a thing until I actually read on a package that I got one year. I'm not gonna lie, I really don't know what the things are called, smudge sticks or whatever, because there's two different names. I looked them up somewhat recently, a year ago, but I just don't care enough, because I'm pretty sure I can find them smudge sticks or something. But I never encountered these critters in school. But I was looking into more graphite junk in my adult years. I don't even know how many years, because I could say 3 years and it was probably 5 years ago by now. Time is so whimsical. But things like matte fixative would come up in my search on Blick when I was looking for random graphite stuff. And to this day I am so glad I invested in a can when I had gotten some pencils and being able to play with that, because it allows me to layer like I'm used to with painting, and I could set a layer and not smudge it and give the paper a little more tooth to snag the pencil for the next layer. really, really enjoy the matte fixative because like I can erase over a layer that I did the matte fixative to, and it would only like pull up minimal amounts. But if it had like several layers of matte fixative on top and graphite, like it was pretty much like set. Like I couldn't erase too much. Like I liked the ability of it, being able to kind of remove and not remove and setting the layers. But getting the graphite set was one of the best artist decisions I ever made. I was able to play with shading and values, the darkness to light spectrum. Now I find myself every now and again when I think of a piece, I know I may want it to be graphite for the move, the harsh contrast. Colors would just muddy it up, and I don't do a lot of finished ink work, mostly only around Inktober, but things like clouds, mist, and the mood setting atmosphere is so much more simpler in graphite, and more effective since I'm not heavy in cross-hatching. I know I've talked about this stuff before, I'm sure. Maybe even on my last graphite video. I can't catalog everything in my brain of what I say, but I really do enjoy the graphite work. I had no idea what I was doing, and it kind of just worked out, and I feel like it's made me a better artist as a whole, just kind of experimenting with things. Because you always want to grow and go forward, and you have to do things like kind of out of your comfort zone, and for me, like that's going into a new medium, but like I don't want to confuse my brain by like doing every single media out there. Like I don't really want to do watercolor. Like I want to stick with just a few things, but it is nice having the options of like this mood is set for this certain piece, and like I want it to be like a darker image, like so maybe like graphite's gonna work better, or the ink work, and it's good having like more than one option. And I also do the digital ink work for my coloring books, which I don't really post videos of that. Like I really should start recording some of them, because I'm sure a lot of people follow me for coloring books too, and they want to see what I'm working on. Get all that hype up. Like right now I'm working on a fairy themed one. My daughter is a budding artist and she really wants to get into painting, and I keep trying to encourage her to do a lot of pencil work and start working on shading, because that's going to help her in the long run. And I know it's helped me immensely being able to break down the values and think about things like shading. When I was a kid, there were not videos around the internet for me. Sitting in my small village, population like 200 if that, with 56k internet, I really had to explore these things myself. I had no idea how to paint. I just ended up with possibly bad habits, and then I'd feel oddly validated when I'd see another artist do something that I had picked up while experimenting, like finger dabbing, trying to lift up some of the paint. Which in hindsight is probably a terrible practice, as most of my paints are highly toxic and they come with the neat little warnings. But experimenting with new media is always fun, and when you figure something out, it's great. If painting is something you want to do, I do strongly recommend doing things like pencil work to try to think about the different values, because you can take that pencil work then and then create an underpainting with it, essentially. Like my first painting, like when I started getting into it, I was using this like junk canvas paper that my mom had from a painting set that she got, because she used to paint when she was like a teenager. She used to love paint by numbers and stuff. And I remember just not being comfortable with paint at all. Like I didn't know how to not line my work, and I still line my work to this day, but like I do it kind of like in a different way than I did. Like I would try to incorporate ink on top of the acrylic, because I just didn't know how to deal with it, to be honest. But I was using like remnant paints from like that were like 10-15 years old from my mom painting ceramics, like the really cheap stuff. Like I don't know, one brand was like Apple Barrel, and the stuff you find in the craft section, which isn't bad to paint with. Like, if you're looking into getting into painting, like, I highly suggest, like, start with craft paint. Like, it's thin, it's gonna take a lot of layers, but it's cheap and it's affordable. Like, you're not going to create masterpieces overnight that you can sell that you have to worry about the longevity of the paint. But before I really started fiddling with the values and trying to work it out in my head, I want to say my work was very, very flat, because I would start with a base color and then just build up from there, as opposed to starting with all the shadows. Like, I was doing it kind of opposite from the way it's kind of traditionally done, because you put that darker layer underneath a color, it's going to appear darker in some areas. Now, like, you have to go back over the shadows and stuff again, but it's just, it added a whole new depth to my painting. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, where I post work in progresses, sketches, and finished work. You can also find me on Patreon, peddling my new mystery packs and digital coloring pages. I really appreciate the support, but you can also support the art directly on my website, lowbrowmisfits.com, for a medley of prints, paintings, bookmarks, stickers, pins, and more featuring my art. Bye-bye.